everything is so connected, so much more than we realize, that we can actually, if we put our minds to it, we can actually find the connection. Because there's, I see all of these ideas, values, I don't know what to call them, no? Like co-creation, like living from the inside out, like competition, like any kind of concepts. I see them as almost like a spider web, no? They're all totally connected, and it's you can take different ways to get to each one of them. Yeah, I think we're so used to kind of watching news and watching TV presenters who have been training for years and know perfectly well how to present, that we think that is the way to present, as if there was just one way of presenting. And we see something that's slightly different and we're not happy with it.
Yeah, and we are not professionals. We are socially conscious change makers with our own projects, who are sharing themselves here in togetherness. So that's our profession, let's say. That's what we do, and not being presenters.
Yeah, but I think there is one way, yeah, but it is in our mind. We have our mind that is set up with a one way kind of thing. That's the problem, actually, because there are many ways of presenting or being there publicly, but in our mind we kind of narrow everything to one specific beautiful way. That is impossible, and it creates like a huge giant in our mind that paralyzes us. Right? So when we make this like very small, from this giant we make it a very small, acceptable, normal thing, then it becomes very easy. I mean, not very easy, but still much more manageable.
And it's just the walking and doing it, and as you share, it comes out. It's the what we're actually doing everywhere here in PiMOV is really just being in the moment, and it flows the way it has to flow, and we adapt to whatever flow it has flown out. Whatever has come out, we adapt, but we adapt in the flowing in the moment, because the other one they already passed by. So it's just going along, because nothing is wrong, nothing is right, and nothing is to be judged. It's just to enjoy and practice.
No, that's right. It's our rigid ideas of what's wrong, what's right.
It's what we come, what we've been taught, that you always have to do it somehow, some way, and that's why we have an image of something that has to be done that way. But who says it has to be done that way? I say it because of what I've seen and what I've experienced, what I've lived, but it's me, that for me, what I say, it's the right way, in the perfect way. It's not your right way or perfect way. And whatever you say, it's not good. For me, it's maybe very, very good. And for sure it will be. But so it's our mind playing tricks.
It's a bit of a paradox in reality. I was thinking about this when we had the Wednesday conversation, that there is a little bit of a paradox there when I feel myself like having all these structures and processes, because I developed this with my experience of work. So, and then I have always I managed to discuss that inside my mind, like maybe that's not a valid point of view, like that always like so rigid structure about like project management and stuff like that. But somehow it come also always back. I always go back into that kind of structure. I want to keep away, but they come back. So recently I to think that maybe it is a little bit, it is good to work in this paradox and try to hold both extremes. And being balanced means probably go from one extreme to another, and trying to find the middle point that we won't be that anyway, because we're going to be too rigid or maybe too loose, and because there is a risk in both ways, I think.
Mm.
Or there are advantages in both ways. It depends how you look at it. But again, you see, it's about paradoxes. It's like,
Yeah.
there are opportunities in too much in freedom,
Mm.
and there are opportunities in structures.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there are also risks in both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we manage to get to the
Yeah.
in the right path, in the right direction? It's a bit holding this reality together, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The fear is to go, because you're constantly looking for that balance, and you're scared of going too much one way or another way. Well, actually, what you're saying is, if I understand you well, is that we have to go to the extreme sometimes to find the right balance, but at the same time, we're avoiding the extremes because we don't want to come across as that person who's that way or that other way. Is that?
That's exactly true. Because if we don't risk, if we don't go all the way there, we don't understand. We don't understand. So we need to somehow to allow ourselves to go into that, no matter what. Yeah. So sometimes the risk is like, if we don't take the risk, we're never gonna learn anything or unlearn, right? So you see, again, like it's all about like learning and unlearning. Actually, there are two aspects that are completely connected. And we tend to, if we tend to be in the comfort zone, we're never gonna go anywhere, because we're gonna stay there in our protective environment, which doesn't bring us nowhere. So we need to get into the experience of the unknown in order to gain control, which is again a paradox. So learning this paradox, it makes me feel really more comfortable about things that I didn't want to do before, for instance.
Yeah. Because I suppose it helps you take more risks once you've acknowledged this and you've identified this. Then it kind of gives you freedom to actually try, just jump and do it. And if it's shit, then do it again. And who cares? Yeah.
It's just going to the edge. And I myself, I've experienced, I've seen that every extreme is not good, but you have to know the extremes to know where's the middle. No, because sometimes we are very to one side and doing something, and I don't know, controlling your income in very detailed way. And suddenly something happens and you go to the other way, which is you spend. You spend because you deserve to spend, But then there's this middle line that some point in time you say, okay, I've reached this middle point where I understand now that it's good to control and know what you're spending, and it's okay, good to spend something, but not like openly or whatever, in extremes. But for everything, everything we go like a pendulum until we find the middle point. But if we don't go to the pendulum, how do we know this is our middle point? Because for someone else might be different.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah. And that's why sort of what you were saying before, Jeannette, about what are we comparing ourselves to, makes the whole thing even more relative, because you might be comparing yourself to your own experience, the people that you've met. Francesco is comparing himself to his own experience, and so therefore, as you said, like the middle point is so different for all of us.
Yes.
And it's also about the risks that we've taken before. If we are kind of people who are very used to taking risks, then going to the extreme will be more like the norm, and then the middle point would be more towards there. And then it depends on the area which area we're talking about, which area of our lives. There are areas of our lives where we're more used to taking risks than in others, like what you were saying before about money. We have different relationships with money, and we have different relationships with spending and saving. And for someone to have, I don't know, £5,000 in the bank is nothing. They need to have more to feel safe, while other people live always like close to zero, or they're always in debt, and that's the norm. So
Yeah, yeah. So this has been a very nice conversation. If you've seen, guys.
Yeah. Like it's a warm up, kind of.
No, it has been a conversation between us from the Positive Impact Movement and Amado, Francesco Carvelli, and Jeannette Meier.